Well, hello, good afternoon, and welcome everyone to Live at the Waterhole. My name is Amy, and I will be with you for the next few days on the show. I'm so excited to be back with you all. It's been a while since I've been here at the Waterhole, but I'm so excited to see what new locations we have, as well as some amazing sightings along the way. Now, remember, this is, of course, a live and interactive show. And as always, I would love to hear from you. So please do send through your comments and your questions to me. You can do so on the Wild Earth app or the website, or join the conversation on X using the hashtag Wild Earth, or chat to us on the YouTube chat stream. Just remember to use @FC if you'd like those comments and questions to come through to me. Wow, what an awesome start for us this afternoon here at Tembe Elephant Park in Maputaland in northern KwaZulu-Natal. With the heat we're having in the Lowveld at the moment, I can definitely relate to these elephants having a pool party here. Darcy Miller, good afternoon to you. You say it's great to have me back. It's good to be here. I'm really excited for the next few days and to be back on the show. It's such a wonderful, relaxed time where we get to have some really awesome conversations and also just relax and enjoy the sights and sounds of the waterhole. Mercedes, you say greetings and happy Tuesday. It is a happy Tuesday. Any day we get to spend time with views like this is a happy Tuesday indeed. Oh, these elephants are absolutely loving life, aren't they? There's also a woolly neck stalk there in the mix. The black and white bird. It looks like it's looking for something to eat. And I think there's a family of warthogs, is it, on the back sort of left edge having a mud wallow. It's so lovely to see how much water there is still here at Tembe. And the fact enough for these elephants to swim. Oh, my mistake. They are not warthogs. Those are Egyptian geese. I thought there was something rubbing itself in the mud. Maybe there was a warthog earlier that's moved off. But those are definitely some Egyptian geese that are standing there. You must imagine for an animal the size of an elephant, how long it must actually take for that water to start cooling down their entire bodies if they've been holding that heat for a very long time just because of their mass. So you can understand why they want to drench themselves, completely saturate themselves in water if possible. I'm not exactly sure of the temperature in Tembe today, but I assume it's over 30 degrees and possibly quite humid. We're at 36, I think, here in the Hoedspruit area. Tomorrow is going to be an even hotter day, and it's quite big, windy. Not my favorite at all, but it is always good if you can cool down, as these elephants are. Sam, hello. You're asking for a shout out to you and your grandma while you're watching in the UK and eating breakfast. Well, hello to Sam and Sam's grandma. I'm so glad that you're watching with us in your, and it's good to have you on the show. Carol, you are absolutely right. There really is nothing like an Ellie pool party, that is for sure. I definitely recognize that elephant that's just gone under the water. It's got a big gap or cut piece missing from its ear, like a giant keyhole. And as a group of bulls here at Tembe, I actually haven't seen a breeding herd before myself on the show. Like I said, it has been a while since I've been here on Live at the Waterhole, but I think these are boys, young and old, together, coming to cool down. I love watching them sit down in the water. They can be so clumsy. Such a big animal that wants to go for a swim, but they also like they are having the best time, don't they? Absolute bliss. You've got to wet the other side now, boy. You've got a whole back that is a different shade of color. I think elephants are by far some of the animals that have the most fun in the water. I can't think of another species that enjoys a pool party as much as elephants do. Jules, you'd like to know, will all predators go into the water to chase their prey? Not necessarily. I think actually the water is one sort of safe haven some prey species seem to head to, knowing that they won't necessarily be able to be chased into the water. If I think of what I've seen in some antelopes fleeing, being chased by, for example, wild dogs, even lions going into the water. But of course, there can be things like crocodiles, for example, that are waiting for them in the water. So it's not always a safe bet. But generally, predators will avoid actually going into them, rather just wait it out because they know that animal has to come out eventually. And then it's just a game of patience, really. But for them, they're not necessarily, predators aren't necessarily, the strength doesn't lie in the water. And it might actually mean that they can get injured that way, hit by a zebra or an antelope's kick or something like that. So maybe that they would actually rather just wait on the edges. I've seen dogs, hyenas, things like that maybe go leg deep, belly deep, but not really coming after the prey animal into the water. Not to say that they haven't done it or won't do it in future, but just general behavior wise, you won't really find predators going into the water to chase their prey. But it is, of course. Oh, that one's got some interesting markings behind its ears, doesn't it? Wow, look at those patches of color. It's almost got these lighter patches. I thought for a second those Egyptian geese were on top of that elephant on the left. Oh my word. I think I was asked at Juma a few days ago about seeing birds on elephants. Personally hadn't. But imagine that an Egyptian goose hitching a ride on top of an elephant. And some impala coming across now as well. Front screen. There's abundance of life here at Tembe, which is always wonderful to see. Fuzzy Dunlop, hello. Good to have you with us. You want to know, on my last sunset safari, did the leopard follow you back to camp or something? So, yes, there was a bit of a funny story there. We bumped into a leopard, last minute leopard, quietly. Maybe not the last minute, but the last few minutes. It was probably the last 20 minutes of drive. We were coming up the main access road, and very fortunate to have bumped into a leopard walking down. I first thought it might be Tlalamba, just based on the area that we were, but it turns out it was Mashidulu, which was very cool. And she actually ventured very far east compared to her normal area that we associate her with. But anyway, right at the end of the drive, stalked some impalas. They saw her and she moved off into the bush. When she cut off the road, she was making her way sort of in the direction of our camp. And we have a lot of things like nyala and bushbuck that hang around our camp. And when we parked the vehicles and finished drive, everyone else went up for dinner. We were just waiting for the electricity to come back. And I went down to my room. So there was no, normally we've got lighting and stuff, but because power was off, at that particular time, it was quite dark, and my veranda light or stoop light wasn't on. And I just had my torch. Anyway, I went into the room to drop off my stuff, and I actually forgot something that I needed to bring up, and came back to open my door, and there hopped out a leopard. Who it all happened very quickly, but I think it was the same leopard that we had earlier. And yes, there was bushbuck alarm calling and all of that, and we actually saw her tracks coming up through our camp the next morning. Well, I saw them the next morning as well. So that was a bit of a fun end to my stint. I just told everyone to be careful, and I just waited a little while until I went up to dinner. But all was fine, part of living in the bush. Well, a wonderful start here at Tembe. Let's head over to Rosie's pan to see what's happening over there. Ah, surprise, surprise, some more Ellies. Awesome stuff. Wow, how the bush has changed. This is so cool for me to come back to these locations that we know of, that I've spent so much time at previously, and to see how the bush has thinned out. Oh my word. Wow. It is really, really coming to the end of the dry season where all is bare. And I love watching over the next few months how the bush will change on this show. It's so wonderful to see these herds come and drink, and especially the little elephants. Oh, it's so cute. And from here, this landscape looks so dreary, and you wonder, what are these Ellies going to find to eat? But it is incredible how they adapt, and they've obviously survived for so long in the cycle of wet and dry season that they can adapt and find food and enough of it for the thousands of Ellies that we see in the greater Kruger. It's amazing that the vegetation can adapt to them, and we still see healthy ecosystems, and they make a way. And some of that includes sort of digging up trees and roots and things like that, which is often becomes quite a thing to deal with out on game drive, because you come around the corner, you're like, oh, there's a tree pushed over. We've got to move that. And that's just the elephants, really, especially in the dry season. We see a lot more of them trying to dig up roots because the trees, particularly the deciduous trees that lose their leaves in the winter time, store most of their nutrients back down into the roots until they sense the climate changing, and they get more moisture in the soil, more food for them, and then they can start transporting those nutrients back up to form leaves and photosynthesizing and things like that. Oh, that little one is now suckling from mom. Are you thirsty? And baby elephants can suckle for a long time until they're quite old, which is fascinating for such, usually we see animals being weaned 6 months, a year, maybe just over. But for elephants, they can suckle all the way until potentially 5 or even 6 years old. And of course, at that stage, they are drinking water and feeding, but they won't say no to a bit of mom's milk as well. But of course, this one still looks very small, maybe a year or even less than, maybe 6 months. But I can't help but feel sorry for these animals when they have to try and grab onto these thorny or bare trees, and you just wonder what that must be like for them. But it actually, I don't think they think, taste of course is there to a degree, and that's why, elephants sometimes do prefer the barks of certain trees than others, giving it a bit more of a sweeter sensation. But at the end of the day, they just are bulk feeders, so they need to get in as much as they can to extract probably around 50% at the end of the day. That is then, comes out with their poop. And Nick, great question. You want to know if there's parts of the roots of some trees that elephants could not digest. Yeah, there are parts. There's parts all the time of the trees and the vegetation that they eat, Nick, that they're not able to digest, and because they don't have a very good digestive system. I think the percentage is around half of the food they eat comes right out again. They only extract nutrition from about 50% of the large amount that they eat. That's why they need to eat so much. But that is not waste. That comes out. I mean, I've looked at elephant dung and seen whole leaves, sometimes whole marula fruits that haven't been digested fully. And that passed on to the insects, to other animals, maybe birds even, that come and peck at that dung. So it all gets used at the end of the day. Just the elephant doesn't use all of it. But when we're talking about roots, roots almost very much look like an extension of the tree itself. I remember looking at roots, and they look like the some of the roots, for example, of bush willows and things like that that we see quite often. They're very woody. And it's only much further down where they start to get a little bit more hairy and those feelers come, well, not come out, but the feelers are there, and that's what sucks in the nutrition. Um, so I would say that just like the tree, there would be parts of it that they don't eat. For example, the heart tree, they really only after the bark, and even um, branches, thinner branches of like a combretum or something like that, bush willow, that they twirl around in their mouths and sort of get that outer bark away with their molars to get to the nutritious layer. They leave the heartwood of it because they know there's not much nutrition there, and it'll probably just go in and out again on the other end. But in to answer specific, I can't think of in this moment a specific tree that elephants can't digest. For example, they're such bulk feeders. I've seen them eat all kinds of things, all sorts of barks and things like that along the way. And I mean, I've seen them avoid, for example, they don't often eat guarri bushes because of the high tannin content in those leaves, even though they're green all year. Not to say that they don't, but it's not a first choice for them. But I've never seen them avoid a particular tree or root because it's not digestible for them. That's a very specific reason. Whereas normally the avoidance comes from just either a lack of nutrition or a lack of, generally a lack of nutrition being the main first reason. All right. Well, we have another great location lined up for you. So let's head over to Kikuyu and see what's happening in Namibia. Oh my gosh. It's the elephant of day, everyone. This is wonderful. I haven't seen elephants at Okokuyo in months. This is awesome. Absolutely amazing. Look how many there are of them. And it's so interesting to see how they're actually positioned around this waterhole at the moment in their little individual groups. There's a group to the right, there's a group to the left, and there's a group also to the left, but more on the other side. Oh, apologies for that, everybody. We seem to have lost Okakuyo there, but that's okay. We're back at Rosie's pan here with these elephants still hanging around the wall. Ari, hello. So lovely to hear from you. You're saying greetings from the Netherlands. Well, that is just great to know that you're watching from there. And one of the amazing things, not only about the Waterhole show, but also about our live safaris, is knowing that there's people from all over the world that are watching with us. But with the Waterhole show, it does feel a lot more like it's just me and you here. And we can have some great chats, and we really get to a lot of the questions and comments, which is always nice. It's nice to have this herd actually sticking around for a bit. Oh, that little one is playing with mom's trunk. Is it mom's trunk or is it big sister's trunk? I'm not. Oh, baby elephants are just the cutest things. Oh, it's having a bit of a rub there against the older one's leg. Maybe it's just like, you know what, I can't find a stump to rub against. That's my size. So I will just use you. This little one is being so cute at the moment. I think it's mom behind because it was definitely suckling from a bigger, older cow. And this might be its older sister, or maybe even a cousin. I don't know. That it's standing just next to now. But that beauty of the bonds between elephants and the elephant family structure is just so precious. I'd love to see this little one if it goes back to the water, have a swim, or maybe find a stick and play with it. That's always funny when they're still trying to get to know their trunks better. Oh, there we go. Maybe it's going to try. Yes, it got a stick. Oh, and it's by the water. Oh, Pizza Man. Ellies do just warm your heart, don't they? Especially that little one. I mean, I didn't know if it was going to get a stick or not. They do sometimes do that. And it was just so cute to see it playing with it, sort of figuring it out, I suppose. It didn't really look like it was eating too much of it. Maybe just testing its trunk's ability at that point. I think it might also be at the point where it would just face plant into the water to drink rather than using its trunk. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Jungle Jim. Oh, interesting question. Thanks for sending it through. You want to know, what do herbivore moms like elephants and antelopes do if their young takes a little while to walk after birth? In the case of danger, would they young? So, without danger being present, they would, of course, just stay with their little one and help it. So, I've seen antelopes will sort of lick off that the amniotic fluid and sac, sort of getting it. There's a bit of a disagreement. Um, will sort of lick their little one clean so that it's easier for them to be able to walk, removing them out of that sack that they find themselves in. Um, and from there, they will, even like an elephant might use its trunk to help lift up the little one, or even a giraffe or an antelope would sort of use their nose to try and get the little one up and going. And it is, of course, one of the most vulnerable times that both mother and calf will find themselves in is at birth and immediately after. Something that they want to get done very, very quickly and make sure that little one is up and moving as quickly as possible. In the case of danger, for the bigger the animal, the more they will stay and fend off from their little one. So of course that maternal instinct, as it were, that mother side of things, especially for elephants, is so strong that mom will, defend that little one and push off danger if she's able to. When it comes to antelopes, though, that probably is less likely, because what can mom really do? And their sort of natural instinct for survival might overtake their one to protect their little one, because at the end, then they'll both die. So if that calf or lamb is struggling, maybe it's, something's wrong with, or of course, if it's stillborn or no real option, mom will eventually just leave it. But if there's immediate danger, likely, like for example with an impala, the mom will probably run off, because there's nothing she can really do for that little one at that moment. And that instinct to sort of run away from the predator is great. But it's difficult to say for sure, Jungle Gym. There's probably many cases where that hasn't happened, and perhaps even successful for predator, the youngster. But I say it's the most time. And an antelope might, but then they will probably be hunted and preyed upon, and their spring will be targeted. So difficult, really, for sure. Bigger the antelope or the is likely to be able to hang around and push off short predators. Yes, firstly, it is a cute baby elephant, isn't it? And now one of the older ones also has a stick that it's feeding on here. Right, let's head over to Pemby and see what's happening over there. Oh, well, it is beautiful here. We can see the elephants have moved. DW, it is beautiful, isn't it? And it is just coming to 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Apologies for losing our feed there, everyone, but not a problem because we are here at Okakuyo with still some elephants as well as it looks like a few springbuck. This elephant that is in the middle of the waterhole is, I just think, so happy. Cooling down, loving life at the moment. I think it's maybe wants its friends to join it there. They don't know what they're missing. All right. Well, let's hold thumbs that the feed stays, everyone. But we are going to head up to Kenya and check in at Old Daniel. Oh, wow. This is beautiful. What a scene. I haven't seen the fringe-eared oryx here in a long time. It's so good to see these antelopes again, as well as the elephants, of course. These oryx are so brave. I think they were quite thirsty, and as time goes on, the other animals get more comfortable being around the elephants. Oh, there's a zebra. Oh, more zebras. Oh, this is awesome. I remember last year seeing a lot of this happening here, and it's definitely to do with the time of year where we see far more zebras coming to the waterhole now in season. John Maine, don't they just have guts? They definitely do. Even the oryx also. I know the earlines also come as well. And I think it's difficult for us to exactly judge the distance between the zebras and the elephants. But I don't think they're far away from each other. I think they are quite close by. And I just love the colors here at Eldono in Kenya always. Wow. And the sky is so beautiful. The zebras black and white, the big elephants flapping their ears. It is just iconic. I wonder if the oryx are just waiting for a gap from the other side to come in now that one elephant has moved off. Comes the elephant back. No, sorry, I wasn't actually done. Well, since we are here in East Africa, in Kenya, it feels like a good time to let you all know about a trip in September 2025 next year with Mr. James Henry himself, where you can visit both the gorillas in Rwanda and safari in the East African area to see the Great Migration. And I mean, those two together is just what dreams are made of, isn't it? And there's included in that a hot air balloon experience where you can see the migrating herd from above, which is just going to be absolutely amazing. So there's 6 spots available, and if you are interested or want to know more, there should be a QR code on screen, as well as visiting wildearth.travel for more information, where you can find out exact dates or yes, costs and things like that. But don't miss out on this amazing opportunity for next year, September 2025. DW, you say, oh my gosh, exclamation mark, capital letters. The elephant is a giant. All the other animals run away when it comes. It's true. It is very intimidating. I mean, it's intimidating enough being a human sized person with a big elephant next to you in a vehicle or on foot. I mean, that's even more so. But to think of, I mean, a zebra or an oryx, they are rather big animals for them in their own right. But in comparison to something like an elephant, it's just unbelievable. I mean, I would move out of their way, and so would most other things. Maybe just a buffalo that would be a little bit more stubborn. I can see an eland though in the background. I was hoping that we would get one in the show today. Mindy, you say you just started watching this program and you are loving it. Are the elephants born with those wrinkles? Yes, they are, Mindy. They absolutely are. Elephants are born with wrinkles. So the wrinkles have nothing to do with their age. So the more wrinkled an elephant doesn't mean the older it is or anything like that. When they are very small, they do have quite smooth skins, but you can, if you're close enough or have binoculars, you can see that there are the little wrinkles that are already there, and they sort of grow into them and they become more pronounced as they get older. Wow, what a scene. We are being so spoiled here at Aldonia today. Oh my goodness. Absolutely incredible. Jive Bunny, hello. Wonderful to hear from you here at the Waterhole. And you say, what wonderful leopard sightings you had on your last few drives, Amy. I was so spoilt at Juma in the I think it was 17 days that I was there. It was remarkable. One of my best stints ever in terms of sightings. I mean, I've had some amazing ones before, but in terms of regularly, almost every single day having cats. I do know that there was an amazing leopard sighting on the Waterhole show a few days ago. I was actually on safari that day where there were a leopard and its cub at Jabulani, I think in Hoedspruit. That was so cool, and we were actually watching it up until the On Safari show had to start because it was so amazing. It was the first leopards I'd seen on this show, at a waterhole, and such an amazing view, which was awesome. Oh wow, and there's some giraffe now coming as well. Wow, 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 what a day. Incredible. And I mean, just to put it in perspective, we were talking about the size of the elephant earlier. This looks like quite a old eland cow, actually very mature, very long horns there. But an eland cow probably weighs about maybe 600 kilograms or so, plus minus. They can vary quite greatly. The bulls can get up to close to a ton. Very similar size to a big buffalo bull, actually, an eland bull. And you saw how small they look in comparison to these elephant bulls. So you just really get a sense of the proportion and the size of an elephant. It is unbelievable. Well, we are back at Tembi, everybody, and the variety continues. We've got two boys here having some fun, elephant wise, as well as some impalas in the background. And now we can see this bull's actually throwing some sand on himself, and you can see how it's sticking to its back, changing the color of the elephant. Wow, it's actually doing a very good job there. It's had many years of practice. Hi, Ivan. You're watching from North Carolina. A very warm welcome to you. Thanks for joining us today. You want to know if oxpeckers feed on anything besides parasites? So, Ivan, definitely the main portion of their diet would be particularly ticks. It's something that it's actually been scientifically researched in opening up the belly of an oxpecker that's died or whatever has been killed in a very different means, and actually counting. And I think there were up to 500 ticks in one oxpecker's belly, which just goes to show, hey, how many they can squeeze in there, obviously depending on the size of the tick. Generally, though, but they also do feed on other things. So it could also be dead skin. It can also be raw blood. So it's not necessarily only parasites, but also if an animal has a wound, and then they pick on that and actually, for lack of a better word, drink that blood. They can also pick and take in bits of mucus or saliva on the animal. So that would really be sort of the main makeup, either parasites as such, that they would be eating. So bits of dead skin, mucus, saliva, as well as raw blood from wounds of that animal. Oh, this is beautiful. That little family of Egyptian geese are now going for an afternoon swim. Wow, you can hear this elephant munching on these, what looks to be more reed like grass there. Just shows how crunchy that is. Hi, Lorraine. Interesting question you've asked regarding an elephant's collar and how long it usually lasts. So, with technology differing throughout the years and getting more efficient and changing, this time frame can vary. But on average, you're looking at between 4 to 6 years or so that an elephant collar can last, based on the battery power that's in that little receiver. Um, but yes, as I said, I think in general, that's sort of the time span, and every 4 or 5 years, depending on how the info that's coming through, if it remains active or not, that needs to actually be replaced. So it's not so much that the collar itself that's around the elephant's neck will wear out or get damaged. Generally, it's actually well lasting. But it's more the actual little device that's in that sort of block that we see at the top of the elephant's head there, yes, just behind the head, that stops sending a signal, because of course it needs power to do that, and the battery can only last for so long. And so then in that time, then the reserve team, the ecology team, whoever's responsible for that monitoring, will have to replace that device, and they'll probably give a whole new collar if it is that time they can see maybe some of the joins and things are wearing away. um, but yes, it's on average, Lorraine, how long they last. Mindy, it's very possible that sort of, whether it's a goose or a duck or a grebe or any sort of water aquatic bird that sometimes on their feet nibbled fish. I don't know. I haven't been able to see under the water before, unfortunately, but I know that that's an experience sometimes that hippos may have with small little fish coming to nibble, perhaps on the side of them. I think that's why sometimes herons tend to sit on the back of the hippos as well. But I know that in certain parts of the world, as humans, we can put our feet in and the little fish come and sort of peck at the dead skin cells. So I don't know if waterfowl, as you say, have the same experience. And Ellie's gone for a lovely rub against that nyala tree. Clearly a favorite for many of the elephants in these big trees that are close by. All right, well, while this Ellie moves off, let's head back up to Kenya and see what's happening at Oldonyo. It looks like things have gone a little bit more quiet here in Kenya, with these two bulls seem to have reclaimed the waterhole for themselves. The zebras and oryx and eland and the giraffe seem to have moved off from what I can see. Oh, there's a few birds running around there as well. Look, they look quite black and white. I wonder if they are pied wagtails. Oh, Lorraine, that's actually a really. Oh, there's the giraffe popping into frame. Oh, two giraffes. That's a good question as well. I've only ever seen it put on the neck of an elephant. Um, I've never seen it on the foot. You're right. With rhino, we generally see the tracking anklet put on for them. I think it may have something to do with the potential shape of an elephant's foot being very um, it is, of course, smaller around the so-called ankle than it would be around the foot, but it might be quite easy for it to slip off in comparison to a rhino's foot that's quite a lot more sort of flatter and protrudes out from the rest of the leg. It may also be that elephants use their feet a lot, Lorraine, in comparison to rhinos. Whereas, for an elephant, they're doing a lot of digging, a lot of kicking, uh, roots and soil and things like that. To just be too much for that anklet to take to be able to put it on an elephant. It's just inefficient, and they may have tried it before, but they probably found that it was getting damaged too quickly or falling off or that sort of thing because of how much elephants use their feet in feeding. Whereas with rhino, they really are just munching away, whether it's black or white, and not really digging up anything for food. And even with grass losing a lot of its color now in the drier season here in East Africa, that's still so pretty. I mean, the trees are quite green in the background, and the clouds, as well as the blue sky, make for a really stunning picture. there's some guinea fowl as well. Some guinea fowl calling earlier. And I saw there was a giraffe brave enough to try and drink just now. I wonder if we'll see one trying to approach again. Unfortunately, this particular waterhole isn't quite big enough for these ellies to have a bath in. They would have to try hard to get their whole bodies wet. So, Talon, must in elephants is such an interesting topic, and it's something that necessarily happens seasonally. So, depending on the maturity of the bull, they'll go at sort of for different lengths of time, and generally only once they're over the age of 25 on average. And that is because that must is usually suppressed by more older and dominant bulls in an area. So if you find that there aren't that many other some younger bulls, maybe in early establishing of a new population of elephants or something like that, you might find them coming into to must earlier. But generally, that is something that's experienced by the most mature and dominant bulls of an area. And I think we last an elephant bull and months of a year, potentially. And it's something I'm to buy in learning more about exact triggers it. Why does it last so long? Does it have to do with how long he takes to find female mate with? You can also be in pre and post. There's different stages, coming into as well as of just like estrus with a female, but that is more cyclical. Whereas must is sort of unpredictable in some ways of when it will come and how long it will last. Lorraine, you'd like to know if giraffes and ellies are normally comfortable walking together at the same waterhole. Lorraine, I would probably say to that question, no, not normally. I think giraffes are very cautious and be intimidated easily. So I think not necessarily something that we see very commonly happening with giraffes and elephants drinking together. I think it's just so normal at this particular waterhole because it's such a small water source. These giraffes have had to just a little bit more to come and approach with the elephant. So I think it might be quite common here at Old Donyo in Kenya. And obviously at bigger waterholes, we don't have to share such a small space. That can also be common to see. But usually if there's something else at the waterhole, giraffes will just hang around and wait to see when their opportunity can come, rather than trying to approach while something else is still busy. Something bigger than them. So yes, and of course, if there's predators around, even if they're smaller than them, they're still not keen to come out to drink. But this is a very somewhat situation here in Kenya. Yes, moonbeams is such a gorgeous image, isn't it? The sky is stunning. I think there might have been, I don't know if there was any rain in Kenya recently, but those sort of low cumulus fluffy clouds seem to be what you see generally after cold front or something like that, changing weather. I mean, that is just gorgeous, isn't it? It's layering of looks like cumulus and then cirrus clouds maybe a little bit higher up, but the different clouds all together like that. Well, everyone, I cannot believe it's the end of the show. That is unbelievable. Today has just flown by. It's been wonderful to be here with you and be back at Live at the Waterhole. It's been fantastic, and I'm looking forward to the days ahead where I'll be on the show with you all. Oh, there are some birds. Are those white-browed sparrow weavers? They look like that. Interesting. Yes. Oh, and there's something up as well, maybe an eland coming to drink. But like I said, I will be back with you all tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that already, which will be, oh, there's an eland taking the gap. But tomorrow will be the same time in the same place right here at Wild Earth, 1 p.m. Central African time, where we'll be doing the waterhole show again. Oh, and giraffe. That's a fun surprise. You see those big feet arriving in the pic. It's just classic, isn't it, that you can't even fit in its head in the frame. Very legs indeed. But thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. Thank you for all of your comments and your questions. It's been wonderful to chat again, and I look forward to tomorrow. It's going to be great. The animals are definitely playing along. So far, so good. I'll be back with you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day or evening ahead, depending where you are. And I'll see you tomorrow. It's goodbye for now.